Why would we want to use structure mapping with the Lowrance units? Well, for one, the last 10 or 15 years when I fished with my regular waypoints and GPS, I'd have a couple spots marked and you could pull up here, and when you got to them, sure, you could fire a cast right at them and hope your GPS was on, accurate. If you had marks there and there was rocks and weeds or something, you still didn't know if you were exactly hitting the key spot there. After making my first structure map, it was pretty easy to see that I wanted to do this to all my key spots on a lake that I'm going to fish. It's not going to pay off every spot if the fish aren't out there, but once you have these in the memory on your SD cards, every time you go to that lake, you have a history of the lake. Sure, the weeds could change from year to year, but what I'm looking for on our lakes up here is basically a hard bottom and then areas that have rocks and different things that are not going to change from year to year. The first thing you'll see here when you make this map is I made a couple passes back and forth, and I saw this long finger coming out from shore. In just a quick glance, you can see the edge of it, and when you look around, you got your tip here. Well, this here is one of the key spots on it. A lot of times when I run these spots, you'd go to the tip, mark it, fish it, but a lot of the rocks and different clumps are right here, and then again right up in here, and then here is where the coontail edge is. Now, when I pull up this spot to fish it, especially in a tournament, if I pull up here, I start casting, I know exactly where my casts are going. You can hit the key cover. If you come in from the other direction, same thing. You're not wasting time casting to a waypoint hoping you're close to what you're casting to or want to be casting to. Okay, this is a zoomed in spot on that last structure map I showed you, where that key area is up on top of the bar a little ways from the point. But you can see this here, there's big rocks here. The shadow coming off tells you that that's a big rock that's standing up to leave that. Rock here, bunch of rock here. There's some weeds mixed in, another big rock. But this is totally a key spot. And again, it's so easy. You pull up here with your boat, and you see your little boat icon moving towards it, and you can just fan cast it and absolutely cover the key spot on the spot. Okay, so you ask, how do I do this? Well, it's pretty easy on the HDS units. When you're on your structure scan screen, first thing you want to do is go to your advanced button and click that. Once you're in the advanced section, go down to the bottom and click on log sonar. Once you're going to log sonar, if you have a touch unit, it's very easy to name your file. What I like to do is just abbreviate what lake I'm on and then start numbering from one on up. And then the biggest thing, make sure you have a memory card in your unit, so SD card. What I've been doing is buying 8 gig cards because you can get them for about $7 or $8, and then I keep 2 or 3 lakes on each one with all the structure maps. And then depending on what lake I'm on, I take that card out and use it. But so make sure you pick that. And then you can either pick create structure map when complete, and as soon as you're done recording your file, it'll make a structure map. Or you can just record and then do this step later too. Once you have these set, just click on record. Once it starts recording, you'll see some red dots flashing on top of your screen, so you know that it's recording. Once you save your structure map, you'll need to change a couple of settings so it actually shows up on your charting map. So what I do is just go to your main chart page, and then if you go down towards the bottom, you have one that says overlay, and you want to check this and make sure it says structure. And then if you go down below this one a little ways, below this overlay structure option, there's one where you can either go live view or saved. So if you want to use the file that you just created, you'll want to pick the saved option. Under your structure map settings, you have a few more options you can play with. One is your transparency, and that'll be how much of your contour map will show through your structure map. I set mine down to minimum most of the time so I see the pure structure map I created. I'm not too concerned about my contour lines. I want to see the rocks and different things that I have made on that map. The palette and contrast, basically these are personal preference for your color, and then your contrast, how good your hard bottom and different things show up here. You can play with that. Here's a quick screenshot of what I mentioned earlier about which source you want. Here I have saved, so it's going to show any file on my SD card that is saved. It'll show up on the map. Right now nothing's showing up on this map because there's nothing in this area that I had scanned previously. If you click this, you can also choose from live data, so as you're driving on the lake, it's filling up your map. This is what your screen should look like then once you have your overlay set to structure and you're actually over an area where you had scanned and saved it and converted it to a structure map. What you see here is where I made a few different passes, and you can still see the stuff that you scanned, but what I like to do is if it's an area that's really good and there's a lot of cover, I want a clear picture, I would actually just delete these files, come back across there and make one nice clean pass over the key spots, and then make that my structure map. So you don't have these different darkness cutting across here and different shades and all that. It's a lot easier to see exactly what you want to fish. Hopefully this video shows you how easy it is to use structure map and what kind of advantages you can gain by using it. One other thing for people that live up north where you have ice on the water for a few months or 5 months out of the season, once you have these, if you go out ice fishing, you should be able to drive right up to the spots and put your holes right on top of the key structure. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks a lot.